everyone, and welcome to the Thursday edition of World Soccer Daily. And of course, that's Amadeus. I'm Jim, and Amadeus. Let's reflect on yesterday's game. Was a good one, and one which you know had a result that you pretty much predicted.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the way I turned it out. I had Fiorentina to lift the trophy, but I also had the over in that game, and 2-1 win for West Ham, very late goal there, uh, uh, on the breakaway, pretty much. And it was an action packed game. There was a lot of chances. There was even right before the halftime, there was a disallowed goal for Fiorentina. He was offside by like a kneecap and a foot. But that could have changed the story for stuff. I know a Fiorentina player got hit in the head by a water bottle thrown by West Ham fans, and so apparently there was some other things West Ham fans were doing in the city of Prague before that match, where UEFA is considering about taking the victory away from them and giving Fiorentina the Europa League spot for next year.
Mhm.
So if you're a fan out there and you think what you do doesn't have an impact on the game, it does, because West Ham fans left a bad taste in Czechia's mouth yesterday with their behavior in Prague, and now UEFA is going to be thinking about it. I doubt it will happen, but these things happen.
Well, I mean, one of the things that people forget when they have these neutral site games is you're a guest of the city that's hosting. And that doesn't give you not like you, if you're going to rip apart, if you're going to rip apart your own hometown, that's one thing, which you shouldn't do anyway. But I've never quite figured out why setting something on fire or throwing, breaking things because your team won or lost is something that, should be done under any circumstances. Maybe I'm crazy, but there used to be things here when teams won the World Series that they'd set the city that that just won on fire, and break and loot and go through all this stuff, and just that was their celebration. It's like not much of a celebration when most of the people are spending it in jail.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised to see if what happened yesterday in Prague was such an egregious situation that they would do it, because that would set the marker, right? That would say, okay, nobody thinks we're serious. Well, I'll tell you what, we are serious, and you don't get the spot.
Yeah, and it was bad enough where the commentators felt like they needed to bring it up, especially when the Fiorentina player was waiting to take a corner kick, and he literally got a water bottle right to the head, to the point where he was bleeding after, and they had to delay the game because he needed to get the blood cleaned up and his head wrapped up afterwards. And there's nothing you could do about that kind of delay, because it was a West Ham fan that caused it.
Well, I do know that there was a meaningless game in baseball about 10 years ago. And there was a left fielder who got pelted by some batteries being thrown by a couple of fans in the left field seats. And they basically found the fans. One of the great things was that the fans around them pointed them out. So it's like saying, here they are, and the umpire went out and said, look, if I see one battery, one on the field, doesn't even have to hit anybody, they will forfeit the game. And they have the right to do that. And so your actions, both inside the stadium, outside the stadium, can have impact on your team. So you have to be careful in those circumstances. I mean, first of all, you have to be an idiot to do it, but all right, fine. That's why they use the term fan, as in fanatic. But it's pretty wild to have that kind of stuff happen. Let me check something here. We're checking some stuff on the Major League Baseball scoreboard. at the end of 5, the Dodgers are beating the Reds 6-0. Now the Twins were leading, and the reason I flipped over here to check it was the Twins were leading the Rays by a score of 1-0
I
in
saw
the
that.
4th inning with a no-hitter. Okay, the score is now the Rays 3 and the Twins 1. So I'm gonna assume the no-hitter is gone because he had 2 hits.
And you know, Jim, that's a huge game because if the Rays win today,
Yep.
the AL Central will be the only division in MLB that does not have a team over 500.
Right. They should all be relegated.
Because now the Twins are 31-31, just hanging on there.
They're hanging that through. And the game last night, I watched 3 or 4 games, flying back and forth between them. And the one they went into the 9th inning, and top of the 9th, and the Braves were ahead by a run, and then they gave up a run to tie it, and then Randy Arozarena was the first guy up. I don't know what the relief pitcher was thinking, but he just grooved about a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and Arozarena basically knocked it out of the city of St. Petersburg, and had his first walk-off hit. So it was one of those kind of days for the Twins. But you're right. I mean, they're very close to having not a single team in that division above the 500 mark, which is embarrassing.
The Rangers had a similar game to the Rays last night. It was a 1-0 loss to the Cardinals. John Gray pitched all 9 innings in that one. Gave up the 1 run that lost him the game.
And how often do you see guys throw in 9 innings?
Yeah, that's why to lose that game 1-0 and he pitched his tail off. It's got to be a sour taste.
Scherzer pitches last night. I don't know if you saw that one with the Mets.
Oh my God, I had the Mets. They were winning.
Sorry, sorry about that. Then you clearly know what happened.
I took a nap and I woke up and was like, "What?
What happened? What happened was, Max throws, strikes out 9. I think he did last night. Leaves the game. They're winning, and turns it over to the bullpen, who, basically said, "Okay, Max, you did a nice job, but I'm sorry, we're just not going to hold it for you." And the Mets lose. And you're like, one of those kind of things. You're shaking your head. You're going, wait, what happened here? So
they've been so bad. They just got swept by the Blue Jays. They're on the verge of getting swept by the Braves now. They're not going to be able to come back in this division if they don't at least take the game today.
No, they got to do something. And the irony is that they spent money in the bullpen, to try to make things better. And clearly, it was either money not well spent, or they've just underestimated how much help they do need in that bullpen. But they're playing like the Mets. The Mets have had these issues the bullpen issues for years, and they just can't seem to figure it out. They're getting good starting pitching, and they're not getting anything out of the bullpen.
Well, what it was, I think they spent all this money, thinking we finally have a good closer.
Right.
And then our closer goes and just, injures himself celebrating in a meaningless tournament, pretty much.
Right. And there he is.
Yeah. And now you don't have a closer or a good bullpen. So, it's tough to get through. It's tough to hang on to these leads late in games.
Well, I mean, even the amount of money that Steve Cohen, is throwing around, right? At the end of the day, you still have to perform, and you wonder. All right, fine. They went and they got the closer, but you have to build a 5th, a 6th inning guy, 7th inning guy, an 8th inning guy. Build yourself as to, okay, how many innings do I want these guys to pitch? I mean, I think if it were me, and I know Buck Showalter told me, Buck has had a history, and I love Buck. I mean, he's a good guy, and got no beef with Buck. But Buck's problem over the years has always been his handling of pitching. And you can't really pin this on Buck. I mean, he can only deal with what he's got. But I also know that he's trying to manage um, the innings, the load of innings that Max throws, and the load of innings that you know um, that. Oh God, what's the other old guy on the team? Um, uh, well,
Verlander.
what's that?
Verlander.
Yeah, Verlander. He's working with Verlander and Max, and both those guys can pitch. But you're not going to put 200 innings on those arms and expect them to get them to the World Series. That's not going to happen. So, you know, they're in a position where they may have to look at trades prior to the trade deadline, because if they wait till the trade deadline, they may be too far behind to even think about catching.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. They have that problem where, they're good in the first 5 innings, they're good at the end, but it's that in between part where,
It's
that's
that
where they
bridge,
blew the game.
right? The bridge that takes you there. So yeah, and it's wild. And let's see real quick. Let me go back to the scoreboard here. The Orioles and Brewers. That's been a wild series. They're in the top of the first. The Giants, Rockies. That's a 3:10 start Eastern time. Cobb and Anderson. White Sox against the Yankees. That's a 4:05 start. That was a game that was supposed to be played in the Bronx yesterday, but wasn't because of the weather, the smoke. There'll be a game too.
The weather.
Right. There'll be a game two, 30 minutes after game one. Then the Phillies, which, again, they were also a scratch yesterday. They will play against the Tigers. That's a 6:05 start at the bank. And then the Astros are not far from you over in Toronto, where they're playing the Jays tonight. That is a 7:07 start. The Red Sox are at the Guardians. That's a 7:10 start. Mets, Braves, you mentioned that one. That's on Major League Baseball Network for those of you who want to catch that game tonight. 7:20 first pitch, 9:38. That would be the Cubbies and the Angels in Anaheim. And already postponed due to air quality is the D-backs game with the Nationals. That will be made up on June 22nd. So for those of you out there who had Nationals Diamondbacks tickets, first of all, my condolences to you. And second of all, they're going to make that game up on the 22nd of June. So you mark that on your calendar. So that's what baseball's going today. We got 2 games in progress, one just starting in the Orioles and the Brew Crew. So there you go in that regard. The Brew Crew, by the way, are only, they are at 34-28. So they're not doing so badly. They had a bad little spell over the weekend, but seemingly, I guess they got things under control. So that's your scoreboard at the moment. It's been the Dodgers have been very schizophrenic lately. I mean, they win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one.
Well, they just lost 2 to the Reds, and one of those games, the one with Gonsolin pitching, I cashed my Dodgers first 5 as they were up 8-3, and thank God I didn't have them full game because they went on to lose 9-8.
Yeah, we were just talking about bullpens. They've had some real bad bullpen issues.
But the offense has been great.
Yeah.
The offense is performing. So,
yeah, it is what it is, right?
it can't all be the Rays.
Well, yeah, or the Orioles. I mean, the Orioles right now is just looking. I think they're 20 games. Yeah, they're 37-24. I mean, if you would have said to any Orioles fan or any baseball person that the Orioles are going to be at that mark at this point in the season, they'd have taken it and said, "Oh, we'll probably be in first place." And
Orioles fans, you're going to be the 3rd best record in the MLB, but not winning your division.
Not leading the division. But I'll tell you what, given what grief the Orioles fans have gone through over the past few years, they probably have taken that and run to the bank.
That's a wild card.
Yeah. And we got Aaron Judge is on the injured reserve list again. So you got Aaron out of the Yankee lineup. So we'll see how that impacts the you know the guys in the Bronx, where they'll be playing two today. It was kind of funny. My brother, who, as I said, lives in the Lehigh Valley area, was talking about the air quality was so bad that the Phillies and the Yankees postponed games yesterday. But the Pennsylvania High School Association decided that the baseball championships played yesterday all day. So evidently, the Phillies and the Yankees are lucky that they're not playing in the Pennsylvania State, in high school league. Otherwise, they would have had to play those games yesterday.
Gotta love the school boards. Way to protect the children.
Get out there and play the F-92 masks, or whatever types of masks are. But
that's bad when the high school forces their students to play when the professional league canceled the games in that area.
Well, when the entire region is under a code red air quality day, right? And they're basically, code red basically means if you don't have to go outside, don't go outside. So
yeah, they've been telling us to stay inside the last 3 days.
Right. So these responsible people from the school board are like, sorry, nope, got to get those games in, boys.
Yep,
go out there and play.
That's who's in charge of your children's well-being. Just remember that.
Yeah, next time you vote that moron in, just let them go. Check the sanity of the people that are running your high school sports.
Yeah, that one's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, get out there. It's
the air's not good enough for the pros, but it's good enough for you.
Right. Don't be such a wimp. So there you go. So even still, like I said, you look outside, it's still a little hazy, but I would, they told us we're not going to have any real air quality here in the mid-Atlantic area until probably Saturday. And you guys are much closer than we are.
Yeah, actually, we've had it bad the last few days, but this morning it dropped from about a 400 to a 109. So it was quite a big drop this morning. It's still in the air. It's still not great, but it's a more manageable day.
The interesting thing to me, and we'll get back to sports here out of meteorology in a minute, but the interesting thing to me is so far away, right? So far away from where you are and I am, is where the fires are. You can still smell the smoke. You can tell it's a wood smoke. I mean, it's really wild that you can, experience that so far away.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of like somebody's barbecue has gone awry down the street. So it is definitely a crazy situation. Speaking of crazy, last night, Miami took on Denver, and Mr. Jokic decided to prove to anyone who thinks otherwise that he remains one of the top players in the game, because, man, he just took it to everybody on Miami.
Yeah, the Nuggets, they take their lead back in the series. Now they're up 2-1. And another dominant performance from them. I think they won by 15 points, 109 to 94. So, yeah, another under. didn't even sniff the total.
Right.
Yeah, now they've actually dropped it from 215 to 210 for the next game. So we'll see if we get anywhere close there.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, you'd think the Heat are going to try and come back harder in this, and that would mean more defensive play, I would think. So I could see it being another low scoring game.
Well, you brought up a very good point yesterday, and that was that Miami has been outscored in every quarter except for the fourth.
Yeah.
And they got outscored in the fourth last night. So maybe that edge is losing. But it is, they have for some reason not put the pedal to the metal until the fourth quarter. And that's great. When you're playing some other teams, you can catch up, but you're not playing other teams. You're playing Denver, and they had the best record for a reason, and they proved it last night. And looks like we're cruising for a possible. Now, you may disagree, and that's fine. But I don't. I've seen the Vegas Knights just don't look like they're going to lose to Florida. They just don't look like. Now they might, but it's crazy.
Yeah, they tend to they do look good, but I still think Florida probably wins the next 2 games. But I haven't really been following the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs.
Right. Well, you had predicted 6 or 7 games, and it certainly could get.
Yeah, my NHL season is over. Personally, I have no interest in this series, but I think, like I said, I still think that Florida is going to win some games. They were playing so well for so long. Obviously, they've lost 2 now, but it's still a very hot team that has been playing well, really going into the playoffs. They needed to win games at the end of the season just to get into the playoffs. So they've been playing playoff hockey even longer than the playoffs have been going on. So that's why I say don't count this team out. I know Vegas is up 2-0. I know they were a better road team than they were at home, but when you win 9 out of 10 games, you're bound to drop a game or 2 like Florida has.
Right.
But now they're back at home for the next 2 games. They're still in this with a chance to tie the series up at home, and they've used these 2 days off to regroup for sure.
Well, your Canadian, Mr. Connors, tied in the leaderboard at the Canadian Open at -5 with Rye and with Lauer. And Keegan Hadley at 5. Then there's a bunch of guys at 4 too. There's like 1, 2, 3. Trying to look at this leaderboard. There's 5 guys at 4 under. And then I'm looking for Rory. He's not in the top 10 so far.
That was another thing I was shocked about, the fact that they continued with this tournament.
Oh, that's another. You're right. McIlroy's 1 under, and he is tied for 29th at this point. So he's really not that far out. I mean, he's 4 strokes off the lead for round 1. I'm looking to see.
Done?
Rory's done. They played 7:30 this morning.
So he'll be
done.
fine.
Yeah. But no, hey, about that. Canadian in the driver's seat here at the first. He's in first place. There's most of the board here is finished. I'm looking to see who's playing as far as good players. Steve is at -2, and he's on the 4th hole. Wojcicki is -2. He's on the 3rd hole. Kim's on the 3rd hole. I'm trying to scroll down. The rest of the people I have no idea who they are. I don't see anybody. Oh, Weir. There's Weir.
He's still playing?
Yeah, I was going to say he's senior tour.
What he won the 2008 Masters,
right,
and never won another tournament.
Well, you said Rory was at 29, right? Tied for 29. Pendrith and Weir, the 2 Canadians, are tied with Rory at 29 for 29th at -1. Trying to think to see if there's anybody else that notes. Not really. Still playing. Those would be the guys. Let's look. Scrolling. Svensson, right? Okay, Svensson's one over through 5. That's not. I mean, he's the kind of guy you could get. Lowry's not. Lowry's at 1 over and on 2. So these are guys that could theoretically, bolt up there and make a move. But you're right that I'm surprised. You're right about that air quality. That's gotta.
That's what a few people mentioned to me yesterday when they started canceling baseball games. That was their first thing. Like, how can they go through and play the golf tournament still?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because you're walking the whole time. You're out on the course really for 4 hours.
Yeah, and I'm surprised like guys like Rory or some of the bigger names just haven't decided to pull out, go get ready for the US Open, right? Why
Yeah,
would
and
you want to play in that?
what we'll do next week is I'll um, show you a view of the tournament site. By the way, um, we've got let me see, talking about the French Open semis. Uh, let's see, we've got Schwabach and Haddad and Shlabinka, I'm sorry, got upset by Michova.
Oh, what a surprise. Sabalenka makes it deep into a tournament and chokes.
You,
Wow.
I believe somebody on this show mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah, I said she always chokes.
Yep.
She always
It
chokes.
wasn't me.
She
Djokovic,
always does.
Djokovic, and Alcazar in they're going to get to play a little bit later.
Yeah, that's what that's the semi, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That really should be the finals right there. And that always happens in these big tournaments, right? You get the two best teams or players end up playing in the semis.
They seed them so that they end up that way. And you're like, why, from a promotion standpoint, how many times did Federer end up playing, either Joker or Nadal, to get to the finals? And you're like, what are they thinking? Don't put them in the same, draw. Get them so that you get a chance to see them play. But you're right, for all intents and purposes, on the men's side, this is the final.
Yeah, because then the winner of this, I mean, I guess Casper Ruud's not bad, but whoever wins this match is going to be favored over Casper Ruud anyway.
By a lot. I mean, not by just a little bit.
It's one of those where it doesn't matter who wins. Casper Ruud's going to be the dog in the final if he makes it.
Yeah, it just depends on how much of a dog is he going to be. If it's Joker, forget it. God, I can't even imagine what that's going to be like.
Who's Ruud playing?
Yeah, you would ask. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm just curious on that one.
Yeah, sing a few songs here while I check in on this.
I'm trying to think who would be the other player in the semifinals. Those are the three best right there.
Point. Yeah. Okay. Of course, I would have hit on the women's side of the draw, which we already figured out. Okay. There's a bulletin which I just got. It says Canadian wildfire smoke plus bad air puts the District of Columbia under a rare code purple, which means don't go outside. So literally, they're playing the golf tournament that you're talking about, while everybody else is getting rid of stuff. Okay.
Literally.
So do as we say, not as we do. Okay. I'm trying to look on the scoreboard here and I can't find it. Let's see. Okay, here it is. And let's see where we go. It's loading the brackets as we speak, and we'll know. Okay. Okay, so it's Ruud and Zverev in the.
Okay. Making his triumphant comeback.
Yeah, so to speak. Yeah.
The tournament that kept that wiped him out last year.
Right. So those will be played. They will be played at 8:45 a.m. Eastern time, and then 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Those will be aired here in the United States on NBC or Peacock for the streaming, and then on Sunday, of course, they will have the 9 a.m. Opening start for that one for the final. Again on NBC and Peacock for those who are in the U.S. So there's what they're doing. And let's see what else is going on. Okay, so yeah, so that's where we are with the Joker and the rest of the guys. And there other stuff. Let's get back here real quick. Dodgers still lead 6-0 in that game. Let me try to get the beginning right. Top of the 7th, bottom of the 6th. Rays 3-1 over the Twins. You got the Orioles. Whoa, down 3-0 to the Brew Crew, and that's at the end of 1. Giants and Rockies will be starting about 10 minutes after the hour of 3. 4 o'clock is the early part of the doubleheader between the White Sox and Yankees. And Tigers, Phillies at 6:05. Blue Jays with Berrios pitching tonight for them. Valdez is pitching for the Astros. And Red Sox and Guardians. Let's see who's doing that. Dermody is pitching for Boston. Cleveland's got Cleve. Verlander takes the ball tonight against Strider. Oh, that's the best pitcher for Atlanta today. So the Mets are facing the Braves. And, we had mentioned that the Mets better start getting their act together. All they have to do is go against the best pitcher, Atlanta has, and one of the best pitchers in baseball. Then on the Cubs and the Angels, it's Cubs will have Drew Smiley. Detmers is pitching for the Halos tonight. So that's where your baseball stuff is at this point in time. All kinds of fun stuff going on. So yeah, we got all that going on. And the thing that we'll talk about next week about the U.S. Open, and it's pretty interesting. The last time they're playing in Los Angeles. The last time that they played a U.S. Open in Los Angeles was in 1928, and Bobby Jones won. So it's been a minute since they played in Los Angeles. The course is really cool, and I say that because most of these courses, and you know this, Amadeus, as well as I do. You did mention, right, that the course they're playing at is kind of like in Toronto, right?
Yeah, in the city.
In the city. The same is the case of the LA Country Club, all right? It is actually in the city of Los Angeles. So you can walk around the course. You can see, as you look out, you can see the Hollywood Hills. You can see the sign, the Hollywood sign. It's not that far from the Pacific Ocean, so there is that breeze. The downtown is not, is literally, you can see it without having to look, try to look too hard. So they're gonna have some wonderful welcome shots. The good thing about it, though, if you're a golf fan, is that the first 2 rounds, at least, are going to be aired in prime time. So you want to enjoy some golf next week. You can watch it being played on Thursday and Friday evenings because of the time difference. So that's kind of fun. And the course has 5 par 3s and then 4 finishing holes, which are par 4s. So that's a very uncommon, combination. And the opening hole is a par 5. Now, the opening hole, as far as par 5 is concerned, from what I did a thing with Paul Azinger yesterday, it'll be up soon. And Azinger said that the par 5 first hole is the easiest hole on the course. And he goes, and the guy who, architects who put this course together made it that way. They wanted to make it so that that the first hole is the best hole and easiest hole to get to. From that point forward, good luck. And the other thing about it is the LA Country Club has never been seen on television. So we're going to see something that, it's been, like I said, since 1928, since they had a tournament, major tournament like this in Los Angeles. And the fact that the golf course, which is one of the most scenic in all of golf, has never been seen on TV. So you're going to get an opportunity to see the world's best players playing on a course that is certainly going to be challenging, and right in smack in the middle of LA. So all good reasons to check it all out and see what's going on. Still, there is a fallout from the LIV and PGA deal, which might not make it through the United States government system. We'll have to see how that plays out. I have heard, and it's quite possible, that if the PGA, if it doesn't work one way, they can do, the PGA can become a nonprofit, which they are right now, stay a nonprofit, and then the PIF fund, which is funds the LIV Golf Tour, the Saudi money, could come in a business arrangement that they would have that would be in a more friendly environment. Perhaps, it would be based in London or something like that. So they're actually already thinking of ways to get around the U.S. government if the U.S. government chooses to, pull some sort of antitrust issues here. So stay tuned, as the old saying goes. We haven't seen the last of that one yet. So we'll go from there. And we would have talked to Rye about, this weekend's NASCAR, but he's on vacation. So we'll catch him later down the NASCAR circuit. But any final thoughts before we get out of here on a air quality bad for both of us day? We're definitely not going out, so that's a good thing. But any final thoughts? Anything that tell people that they can go out and find your work, and if you have any little tidbit you want to share with the class, go ahead.
You can get my premium plays at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com. I got a few soccer plays up for the Copa Libertadores later, and I got a Dutch play up as well that's starting soon. But I got a free play on Cagliari in the Serie B for Italy. They're playing Bari today.
Okay.
And this is the first leg of a 2-leg qualification for Serie A. So, we've hit the point now where it's going to be Cagliari or Bari that goes through, and I'm taking Cagliari at home today because it's a tough travel. They play on the island of Sardinia, so that is that's a trip you got to take to get there. And Bari just frankly hasn't been good on the road lately, where Cagliari has been great at home. So this one, Cagliari is probably going to advance. You'll see them in Serie A next year, and they're going to win this match at home for sure.
How do you get to Sardinia? By boat?
Sardinia, I think by boat is really the only way you can, which is why I say when teams travel in Italy, like when they're coming from super north or super south, the travel matters, because you can't fly everywhere in Italy. Sometimes you have to fly to a closer city, to a bigger city, and then bus it or even boat it the rest of the way. So it doesn't make for a fun trip, that's for sure.
Well, I hope nobody's seasick. That's that's kind of cool. And just a second, we'll do a quick, Sardinia. And it's, it sounds like a really cool thing. Okay, yeah, Sardinia, by the way, is right at the municipal stadium of Sardinia, is just south of Morocco, and it is on the North Atlantic Ocean next to Algiers. For those
Yeah.
of you who want to know,
Italy's got the boot shape, but a lot of people forget there's an island that's like right out
Right.
there. That's part of Italy. That's Sardinia.
Exactly. So you're right on the cusp of North Africa.
Yeah. Not a fun travel for sure.
That's well, it's fun if you're going there for perhaps to learn cooking or wine, but not necessarily if you're going to play soccer.
Yeah, for these players, it's just like
crazy. But all right, well, let's see. That'll be fun to watch. So by all means, we'll check it out. All right, guys, we will see you. Tomorrow's Friday. We will talk. We promise we'll talk seriously about the Champions League final, and we'll have some fun with that, and we'll take a look at what's going on everywhere else for the weekend. So for Amadeus, I'm Jim, and just clearing things out here. Here we go. And you guys have a nice day. We will see you tomorrow. Okay. All right. Take care.